Let's move on to our next game. This is Dynasty. We're playing every game that was released at some point in 1979. Now, we don't know exactly when they're released, so we're going in alphabetical order, but this is the end of the decade. We'll be finishing all the games in the 70s by the time we get to the end. We're at home playing our Magnavox Odyssey 2. Let's take a look at the images. This is Dynasty, the computerized descendant of the ancient shiny strategy game of Go. And for those uninitiated, Go has a move called Atari, and that's where Nolan Bushnell got the name for the company. So Go is a very, very old board game from China, but the inspiration in video games is huge. All right, so Dynasty, the origins of Dynasty predates chess by more than 1,000 years. So it looks like we're going to be playing a computerized version of Go, but they called it Dynasty. Or as Chiptune Chronicle said in the chat, Dynasty, does Joan Collins make an appearance? Yes, we're now slipping into soap opera zone. I don't think there's any soap opera video games, but that'd be awesome. All right, so here is the cartridge. Looks like to play Dynasty. It's 0 and... Okay, 0 for color, 2 for black and white, and then directional Dynasty, whatever that is. Maybe you get more directions. But if you ever played Go, it's very similar to Othello or a Reversi, where you're taking colors and you're trying to have more of your colors on the screen at once. Go is more complicated. Reversi and Othello simplify that game, but if this really is Go, this is a lot more complicated for a home console to handle. All right, so here's our manual. It is a homebrew manual, so it's showing you how to start the game, which button to push on your console. It's played on an 8x8 matrix. 4 armies in 2 different colors are at the center. A flashing question mark at the right-hand side of the screen is asking if the armies are going to be played by a person or a computer. Maybe we can just get 2 computers to play the game for us, because it is a strategy game similar to a board game like chess. Okay, so that is a lot of instructions for how to play the game. Let's just boot it up and see what happens. It is 1979. We're playing Dynasty on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Which game do we want? We want color. Color Go. Okay, so here we go. It's asking for which person's going to play, like if it's a computer or a person player. Let's consult the manual, because it says, okay, so you push yes or no for a computer. So if it's a computer, I guess that is the green person, but you just use the keyboard on the computer. So is there a yes? There is a yes. So you just push, I'm going to say no. No, yes, yes, no. It's not registering from the computer side. What about 1? Oh, maybe Y? It is Y. Okay, so it's asking if people are playing. So we're saying green's playing. We're going to say no, red is not playing. So that means I think I have a computer playing me, and I will be destroyed. This is the Magnavox Odyssey 2, so I have 1 joystick, and you can see I can move my cursor around and decide where I want to put my green army. Let's put it... Oh, wait, we want to put it right here. Here? There we go. You can only do it on either side to capture 1 person. So you can see the other computer that's playing red, put another red piece on the other side. And so I'm trying to get it so I can capture more and have more greens on the screen, or green army than red army. And that's how you play Go. I don't know why they called it Dynasty, though. What is that, some marketing that they needed to call it Dynasty? That's going to sell more games if we call it Dynasty. No one wants to play Go. Let's see if I can do this one. There we go. So you can see it's doing whatever the opposite one. And I'm not going to get into too much of the complications of how to play Go. It is a very detailed game, very tenured for the time. Played mostly in China. Is it still me? Oh, it is still me. Hold on. There it is. Okay, so it looks like this is another move that I'm not as familiar with Go, but that's how you would play the game. Really fun to play with 2 people if you have 2 people to play the home console. Okay, so that is excellent rendition and plays well, simple, and you can play against a computer, so that's pretty good. For the time and the novelty of playing something so big, it's kind of like chess at home. We're going to do 3.5, which is above average for the time. 1979. And we heard from the chat from Casey Club Kirby. He was giving me some tips. Go for the corners. And yes, if you've played the game before, that is a great strategy. All right, we are moving on to our next game. We are finishing up the rest of the 70s. This is all the rest of the games released in 1979. Our next game's in the arcade. This is Field Goal. And it looks like a football game based on the artwork, but the gameplay snapshot doesn't look that way. All right, this is from Taito, so this was in Japan when it was first released. There's our advertisement flyer. Yeah, it looks like we're playing a football game. There's our arcade cabinet. And again, football artwork on the side for Field Goal. Looks like the controls are just moving left and right, so a paddle game, and then screenshots for just in color. Nice. Okay, so let's see what the manual looks like. This is the operator's manual, service parts for Taito. So it's first developed in Japan, at least this example is, and then what they do is they give it to different publishers around the world that want to distribute it in those countries. So it looks like this is the one for America. Yeah, because it's typed up with a typewriter, it looks like. Playing instructions. Insert a coin. After finishing game's music, helmets, blue, yellow, red ones, the paddle and the ball will appear on the screen. Turn the knob. So it's using a knob like a paddle controller, and then 2 players alternate play. It is a ball and paddle game. Still got them going, even though Atari did it in 1972. So no other versions that we could play, but this is Field Goal. Playing in 1979 in the arcades. Tilt! And that's cool. If we first boot up a system, it says tilt. That was the old school way to say with pinball, if people were manipulating the whole cabinet, or not the cabinet, the whole pinball machine, they'd yell tilt. Okay, so let's put a coin in, see what happens. There's my 25 cents. And push and start. Here we go. It's got player 1. There I am. So yeah, it is a paddle-controlled game. Am I kicking a? It is a football. So it is not a circle like a ball and paddle or pong game, but it's a football that's bouncing around. But it's still the same concept. It's a breakout clone. Oh, look, we got some players on the field. And when you hit them, they dance around. That's hilarious. So it is still just a breakout clone. Oh, you're speeding up really fast already. And there is no sound emulated for it. We did hear a little bit in the beginning. I don't know if I'm getting points, though. It looks like 2 points if I get the footballer in the middle. And that is essentially it for Field Goal. Very cool, quirky. We've seen other ball and paddle games, and everyone's trying to get their own spin on Pong. But for the time, we're going to go ahead and give that one 3, very, very average, what you'd see in 1979. All right, moving on to our next game. Oh, okay, this is called Fire 1. We're still in the arcades. I'm not hearing any sound from this one either. Hello, music. Are you there? Let me do... we did hear sound before. I wonder if these are just not able to play sound. Okay, so let's check out the artwork for Fire 1. This is by Exidy in the arcades. Okay, and they're using something similar that Midway did. They put 2 monitors side by side, and they had the periscope that you could play a sub-game that way. And yeah, and the chat, Chiptune Chronicles was saying maybe they're missing samples, and the samples don't play. We'll see what happens when we boot it up. There's the example of the arcade cabinet. Fire 1 looks like a sea-time military strategic game, but they usually make them fun in the arcades, not so strategy-based. So it looks like we got fire torpedo, dive, and then moving left and right. There's a terrible picture of the marquee. And for screenshots, so here we go. It looks like you can play with 2 people side by side. Those are always fun. All right, let's see what the manual has anything for us. Exidy, Fire 1 Technical Manual. Oh, the manual says November 1979. I usually don't take the manual date because that's when they were building and assembling the system rather than when it was released. So if they were building and assembling around November, it could have been December 1979 they were released. But we don't know for sure. Okay, so do we have anything about the game? There we go. Exidy Fire 1 is a 1-unit game containing all the stuff that comes in the box. Like it's almost like you bought something on Amazon and you're checking to make sure you got all the pieces. All right, so let's see. Self-testing. Fire 1 is 9. Okay, no. I wanted something about the game. Third. Okay, so it's talking about the testing of the system, but I wanted to know more about what this game is. Let's boot it up and see. Here we go. This is 1979. We're stepping up to the arcades playing Fire 1 by Exidy. And we got all the artwork. Awesome. As you can see, there are two sets of directions, one right above my head here and then one over there for both players. And we're seeing both screens at the same time. But if you're in the arcade, you would be on one screen and your friend or enemy would be on the other side to attack. Let's see if we get an instruction over here. So it's showing us that it's by Exidy, 1979. It's a first-person perspective submarine game where the object is to sink the enemy fleet or submarine while protecting your own fleet. Okay, so it's not just one ship or sub. Two players play competitively trying to sink the other fleet or sub. Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's put a coin in and see what happens. There's my 25 cents. And from the chat, Chiptune Chronicle says Sega made a sub-game that had a periscope gimmick, and yes, that is correct. One of the very first, actually, that was mechanical, no microprocessor inside, and we did see another version that Midway did based on Sega's. Okay, so put in more coins or one player. So we're going to play one player. We should get a computer, so it looks like I am playing on, looking for my control that I have to move left and right. Okay, it looks like I am on the right side. No, I actually am not getting any joystick feedback. I'm pushing left and right to see if I can control which side, but I can't tell yet. So my joystick's moving left and right, and do I have option for torpedoes? Yeah, the right side has to be the computer because the computer is firing, destroying, and we have sound, so we can hear him blowing me up. But as far as my control, let's see what we have for the system. Yeah, it should be working correctly where the joystick should move left and right, but it's not functioning correctly for me, at least on my side. Maybe I'll put some more money in and play a two-player round because it might be looking for the person to be sitting or standing at one joystick that I'm controlling the side that the computer is supposed to be on. So let's try it again. Oh wait, I think that one responded. Really cool, though. It's showing us you have your whole fleet above you. So the top one screen showing you all the ships that you have at your disposal, and then the bottom is like the action mode where you're aiming or pointing at the other side and then firing off those ships. Oh, great idea. So let me do a reset. Let me try playing a two-player mode so that I'm controlling or standing at the right joystick. All right, this is Fire 1 in the arcades. And we got Arcade Jeff in the chat. There was a cool arcade game called Seawolf 2 that had a periscope. They have one at Fun... Hey, we did play that. We played Periscope and Periscope 2. Or sorry, Seawolf and Seawolf 2. So we have played those in the past if you're able to check out the older videos. All right, so this time we're going to play it as a two-player game, so I won't have a computer against me. So let's put in enough credits and let's push start on that. And let's see what happens now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, it does work now where I'm able to control one side. Yes, so it's working correctly now where I can move the joystick and fire the ships in the background. There's a radar at the top that's displaying what ships you can see and shoot. And then as far as how it works, it's not based on distance. So whenever I fire a shot, that shot is just going up similar to a fixed shooter. We've seen other military submarine games and naval warfare games like this where you had to know which timing to, or a bar would go up to show how far you would want to shoot something or how deep you want to shoot something. Doesn't have it here, but really cool novelty with a map on top. And the sub sounds are awesome. A little muffled, but it's 1979. That would be really cool in the arcades. All right, so for having two people to play this would be what we call an arcade experience, not just standing and shooting. You actually got some elements that make you feel like you're there. So for the time, this would be above average. We're going to give this one a 4-star ratings for Fire 1. Excellent for the arcade in 1979. And that was by Exidy, too. That's pretty good.